Air horn. Welcome to Anime Sickos, the podcast for geniuses with the very talk about the four pillars of modern misery, anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I, of course, am an anime sicko, Tom Harrison.
I'm Joe Anderson, his co-sicko, and we are joined today by a friend of mine, a one James Medley.
Hello. Thank you for having me on your wonderful, wonderful podcast.
Thank you for correctly phrasing the show.
Yeah, you're the first person to do that, so
It's simply wonderful.
You crushed it. On the way over here, we drove, and you had mentioned your friends had said anime sucks, and you should feel bad about it. And first of all, they're right. So
I wish I had friends that
All they
supported.
have to do is listen to the show to hear you guys talk about how much it fucking sucks.
Yeah,
we could swear on this, right?
Yeah. So
No, this is a Christian show.
It's a good, clean show.
I get the contact info for everyone that told you that, and then they could just maybe be
well,
on the show.
I may have misrepresented it. It's just that once someone hears the word anime, they just paint the picture instantly in their head. They're like, maybe I like anime. Like maybe I've seen some Miyazaki movies or whatever, and I can dig it. But
if only that were it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You say anime, and they're like, well, it's not for me. No, I don't think I'd like it very much. And I try to be like, no. They talk about the four pillars. They talk about jobs and gaming and posting and how it's all ruining our lives. And they're just like, yeah. But
You said the A word first.
exactly. You put anime in front of it. And, ooh, boy.
We can't get rid of it because the art is disgusting.
No, it's a great name. Like I was saying to you, I wouldn't know what else to call it. It's catchy, like it's good, but it's a clear, like it's a divisive name.
And speaking of a divisive name, James,
Yes.
are you an anime sicko?
I knew this was coming.
Yeah, because we told you 5 minutes before.
Yeah, I'm sicko adjacent. I can't classify myself as an anime sicko. I classify as a cog more than anything like inside of this show. But I definitely have like otaku-ish proclivities.
Hey, you told us you were watching Fire Force.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about, for those of us who don't know, what the fuck's this vile shit?
It's not, okay, so there's vile elements to it.
Right.
For sure. For sure. But Fire Force is about like a kid, and he's got these fire powers, and they're passed on from
Out of the gate, fucking love it.
Yeah.
Is he in high school?
I don't know if he's in school.
Is
He's
he
high
in
school age.
Is he in a fire-based, like...
It's not an academy. It's an organization.
So there's
sure.
ranks.
For
okay,
sure.
so I love it.
For sure there's I don't know if there's ranks, but there's like archetypes. There's like the priest, the tank, the smart kid, like the Egon, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they live in this world where there's fire elementals, and people have just started like spontaneously combusting, like human beings,
That's
and
bad.
turning into these elementals. So there's I don't know exactly how many there are, but they're all numbered. There's these fire brigades, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. And he joins this, and he's kind of like a badass, and he's running around, and every episode is just you get a cool like firefight at the end. And like the storyline is like he's got this weird smile, but why does he have this weird smile?
He's thinking about jokes.
He's got like sharp teeth.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like it's really weird. But
So where does the vile shit come from?
Yeah, lay it on us.
So
say it.
there's
Say it, pervert. Say it.
man, fuck. So there's this priest character.
Hell yeah.
She's like 13.
Yeah.
So she got bigger titties than any human's ever been
She's
born.
got huge boobies.
Oh, man.
And like even right out the gate in the introduction of the show, she's just like in this religious like see-through white robe, and she's pouring buckets of water on herself.
Oh, man.
And like the last episode I saw, she was like in a shower with some other girl, and the girl was like grabbing her boobs, and it was like
That's classic anime.
it's classic anime for sure. I just have such a fucking problem with it.
Yeah.
Because it has nothing to do with anything. Like,
Yeah.
if you take those moments out, that show is amazing. Like, that show is on the Mob Psycho level of, like, it's just a good, clean show. There's nothing really wrong with it.
Yeah, if you took out hot springs or shower animation out of Japanese cartoons, 90% of their GDP goes away. Yeah. Like it's done.
Got to service those fans, bud.
It's gone.
So James, tell us just high level, who are you? What do you do? What sort of stuff do you do? Aside from you being Joe's old bud, what do you on the show for? What are you doing?
Well, I make too much shit, Tom. I make all sorts of everything. Videos, songs, graphic art, jokes, like tweet jokes and shit. But it's hard to say because like with all the projects that we do, like say the film work or whatever, I'm the director, co-writer, editor, producer, guy on set, running around, transport. I do everything. Like
You made yourself a cog for your pursuits.
yeah. But I didn't because like it's what I like to do. I would never classify as a cog, more of a volunteer.
Yeah. Because right now you're filming a music video, or in the process of setting it up, right?
We're in the midst of a couple music videos right now.
Dope.
That's been this year for me. That's been the focus. A lot of music videos. We've been working with this band, the Studs. They make really good punk music, but they always say that they suck. Kind of like a Primus thing, I guess. But
Yeah, their shirts say the Studs suck, right?
yeah,
Okay,
some
so-
of
yeah.
them do for sure.
It's like a branding thing, and not just like in private. They're like, I just don't think we're that
Hey,
good.
we're not good, guys. Why do we do this? No, they're actually very good. They're playing Fest this year.
Oh.
Which by the time this comes out, probably it'll be over. But yeah, the big punk fest in Florida. They played Warped Tour last year, whatever the last Warped Tour was. But yeah, I make stuff. I've been mentioning it here and there lately that a lot of people always like refer to what I make, the things that I make, as like art. Like that's your art. Like you're making your art and we love it. And I've just gotten such a fucking like stick up my ass about thinking what I make is art that I've decided to like hard pivot and just say that like I'm an entertainer. And then if someone's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, I literally make anything that you could make possibly to entertain people.
Like, how you hate clowns?
Like, that's me, bud.
No, I relate to that a lot because I write. Whenever someone prompts me to call myself a writer, I was like, oh no, I will suck a knife instead. I would cut my tongue before I say those words. And I think because one, it's a level of self-seriousness that doesn't sit well.
Yeah.
And then also it's a fundamental understanding that I'm a bit of a dumb guy. Like I have dumb guy interests.
Right.
So the minute you say you're a writer, but you're like, I'm a writer, but here's the thing, I'm fucking stupid. No one is.
Here's the thing, I've only read like 20 books.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. It's like saying like, yeah, okay, I agree, I'm an artist, but would you repeat that after I tell you that I watched the titty anime?
Right, exactly. Like, how can I consider myself an artist when like half the time me making art is like playing video games and just thinking about making art, or like watching anime and being like, I could make anime better. Like, here's my, like me and my buddy, we thought of this whole anime about the Studs, that band. And it's super good. And it's not going to have any of that weird shit in it. It'll never get made because we don't believe in like slave labor.
You don't have 80 like North Korean animators.
No one's getting chained to any desks.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? That's going to happen a lot with me.
No, that's good.
That's actually great because we can segue. Because apparently, I'm looking right here at this document. Apparently, you have brought two things with you from Facebook that you are. For one, get off of Facebook. It's a horrible white supremacist death platform. But you brought two things to discuss with us. What are they?
Folks, there are two very important questions I have for you gentlemen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A little backstory. I've been trying to, with social media, I've just been trying to make it clear to people that I'm using it to engage, and that if I'm asking you something, or I'm like, if I throw up a poll that's like, should I do one of these four things? Like, I'm going to do whatever the poll voted. Like, I'm going to do it. Like, I just did this, I posted a tweet about the Studs video for Alien. We did a shot-for-shot remake of the chestburster scene in Alien. And just like, and this kind of will come back around later in the being a dick about promoting yourself kind of thing. But I tweeted at Mark Hamill, the real Mark Hamill. I was like, if Mark Hamill watches our Alien video, I'll eat a hat. And he liked the tweet. So I was like, was going like back and forth. I was like, does this count? Like
He might not have watched it.
He might not have watched it. But you know, me being the weirdo that I am, I was like, well, I'm just going to lean into this. Like, I'm just going to build this up. I'm just going to, like, for days and days, I'm going to be like, I'm going to eat this hat. Just you wait, I'm picking out the right hat. And then I started having conversations. Like, 3 of my friends are in the medical field, and they know a bunch of stuff. And they were like, dude, you can't. Like, you cannot eat a hat or you will die. And I was like, well, what if we deep fry it? And like, it's like,
That's
that'll
the
make it worse. Maybe, but like, maybe not. I don't know. I still kind of want to try it just for the morbid curiosity of it. But so I finally was like, well, okay, so what can I do? How can I hard pivot my way out of this? And
You block Mark Hamill.
well, no, I started a smear campaign and got him canceled. But no, Mark Hamill is uncancelable. I like had this like wild stick in my ass. I was like, what can I do? And I turned it into like this like fundraising thing where I would make songs for people if they donated money to what is it? No Kid Hungry.
Mm-hmm.
They like give meals to poor children. And yeah, but like that was all just because I was like, well, fuck, I told everyone I was gonna eat this hat, and then I like built this up. But like I want to make it more of a practice to like engage properly with social media, like as a content creator and stuff like that. I just want people to feel involved. So, all preamble aside.
It was a long preamble.
It was very long. That's me, man. Like this is what you get when you get Medley on. This is gonna be your first 2.5-hour episode. I posted on Facebook that I was gonna be on this podcast, and I was like, "What should I bring up on this podcast?" I didn't tell anyone what the podcast was about, or like which podcast it was.
It was Joe Rogan for sure.
So I got 2 for you. All right. And this is, I don't know how you guys want to do it. Tom goes
Just
first.
do
Joe
it.
goes
Just do
first.
it. Just fucking do it.
What are your favorite kinds of cheese and or most favorite cheese?
Pepper Jack.
Pepper jack's good. I wouldn't say favorite. I really like a cheddar because I'm a basic bitch.
Okay. White cheddar, sharp cheddar?
You want that old, you want the aged sharp cheddar. Gotta like a good real Parmesan. That's excellent. Feta, real feta in the juice.
Feta. You're speaking, dude. Tom, we're gonna be fast friends, man.
Yeah, I like
You're
it.
speaking my language. And then
if a cheese is stinky or blue cheese, that's too much for me. I can't.
You don't
deal
like
with
stinky
that.
cheese?
No, it's scary to me.
Do you like blue cheese like dressing though?
No.
No, it doesn't stink though.
Yeah, but I'm afraid of it because
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That's blue.
That's fair. And blue is spelled wrong.
Yeah, Joe. What are your favorite cheeses?
It's
just pepper jack.
It's just pepper jack.
It's Pepper Jack's pretty good. I do like. I don't. This is not a specific answer, but anything I can spread is fine. I have eaten instead of like a real dinner, just done like spreadable cheese on cracker, and then I pass out.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's a good dinner.
Yeah, get a goat cheese.
Yeah,
that's the real stuff.
There's some H.P. Lovecraft story where like I think it might be the Port of Innsmouth, whatever the one with the fucking fish people is, and there's a part where before it gets terrible in fish people, he's like, well, to kill time, I had a dinner of cheese and crackers, and I was like, this is very relatable.
Aside from all the racism, this is very me.
Yeah, I'm into this.
Hell yeah. And mine, for the record, Gouda. It's just Gouda.
Gouda's very
favorite
good.
all time.
Yeah, can't hate. So what's the question? The second
question. The second power level rankings for Ed with 2 Ds, and Eddie.
Oh boy. What do you mean by do you mean like mind power,
Well,
like
no,
magic, magic skill, or
I would say just like a generic kind of like if you had to rank them in the order of like who was the most powerful.
You're like a shonen.
Not like mind or body so much, but like the whole package.
So clearly our archetypes are Ed is a fighter. No, Ed is a barbarian. Double D is a wizard, and Eddie's a bard. Yeah,
is that what he is? I think he's a little goblin.
He's more of a goblin, I would say, probably.
I think just because he's always like scheming and he uses sort of manipulation as his main tactic. That's bard is the closest we're getting.
It's clear Ed has a freakish strength that proves he was grown in a lab.
Yeah, but he's unable to wield it to his own ends. He's a tool used by others.
True. Yeah.
True.
And Double D is a genius, but he's also he lacks the self-confidence to stand up for himself, as we saw in the interstitial episode of Shuffle Quest.
Yeah, and I assume his power level is higher than what you'd believe because under his hat is a gun.
Dude, I was just gonna say, what do you guys think is under his hat?
It's a gun.
It's a gun.
It's gotta be.
I would have said I don't know a second ago, but now I'm convinced.
Clearly, though, I mean, you're all wrong, but they're all right answers. Eddie is the most powerful because of what he can do with his body.
What can he do?
Like there are moments where there was like one episode where he like ate a whole bed. Like he just like unhinged his jaw and just like ate a bed. Like you could drop Eddie off of a mountain and he would just get up and be like, "What's up, guys?"
This reminds me of this one H.P. Lovecraft story, The Color Out of Space, where before the color shows up and freaks out the guy's farm, he's just like, "Today, to kill time, I ate a bed."
Is that real?
No.
Oh, okay. I can't wait for that movie though.
James, if I understand this correctly, you and Joe attended a high school together. Is that right?
That is correct. Allen B. Shepard High School. Can we say that? Is that legal?
Yeah.
No, he'll kill you, Alan Shepard
man.
himself.
He'll come from
man.
space and end you.
Cool. Now, if I further understand correctly, at some point in your high school career, your school was awarded a much anticipated visit by the prestigious and beloved Steve Harvey.
Universally beloved.
Yeah, the contest was, I think, part of his radio show, and it was Steve Harvey will become your principal for the day. Here's what happened when we won.
All true story. Well, before we get there, like most of what I can add is like the history, the background of it. The way we got it to happen is somebody figured out an exploit in the voting thing.
Yeah.
And I want to say I don't quote me on this, and don't fact check it, but I want to say someone on our forensics team, they figured this out. And so essentially to vote, you got like 3 or something, you got multiple votes per day, but you needed a different IP address. Someone found out that each computer in our school, and we were lucky enough to go to a school that had a lot of computers.
Holy shit.
And so, like, us on the speech team especially,
we ran the table, dude.
Like, we ran it, and like we won by like 90,000 votes or something, because, well, as soon as someone found out, we started spreading it around and started telling people, like, yeah, just like go on other computers, and like every time you're on a computer, just vote.
Yeah.
And so
you fucking speed ran the election.
Precisely.
Any percent Steve Harvey comes to your school. And here's the thing. When we won, and by a huge margin, what was Steve Harvey's opening gambit? He tried to get out of it.
It took months. It took months to hold this guy to be our damn principal. And here's the thing. He bargained down. He was like, well, I'm not going to be your principal. And we're like, well. Buddy, that was the thing.
That was like it. And then he was like, how about I do an assembly? And so
what would the difference be? If he's the principal, it's not like he's going to be administrating.
But that's what we were saying. Like, the kids' minds were racing at the possibility of having Steve Harvey, this goofy, lovable dude, be our principal and, like, make rules like, every period's lunch today. Yeah. You know? It's
and it said, you're principal for a day. And then he was there for 45 minutes, which was not fucking it. And what happened was, to this day, one of the most bizarre assemblies I've ever been a part of.
No, it's so full disclosure, I actually skipped school the day that he was our principal because I thought it was just a joke. And I was like, well, I'm not going to learn anything anyways. Not that I ever did, but...
Hey-oh,
down with academia. My 0 academia.
Nice.
That's on point, right?
So that's Boku no, if you know what I mean.
So what happened is he gave an assembly, and people were like, well, he'll probably... tell jokes.
He's gotta tell jokes.
This is so good.
He did not tell jokes.
I think this was pre-feud too.
Yeah, I think this was pre-Family Feud. So anyway, everyone was like, "Tell a joke. That's like your thing." And he said, "Actually, I don't tell jokes for free."
Yeah, no, straight up, straight up.
So what he did is,
I kind of respect that.
He did. He gave a bunch of weird advice.
Also, he wasn't being paid to do this?
This was, I think, clearly supposed to be a promotional thing for his radio show. Yeah. And then it just didn't. It
was probably concocted by someone in marketing and probably never crossed Steve Harvey's desk. And they were just like, yeah, he's going to do it. He's on contract. He's got to do it. And then he found out and was probably like, nah.
Yeah. But the thing that'll always stick with me is, so instead of telling jokes, the other thing he could do was just give us lessons about life. And the one that'll always stick with me, he was like, remember, whatever you want to do in life, the thing you love, if it doesn't make you money, don't do it. Just absolutely don't do it. Like he was very clear on that. He was like, you gotta
don't follow your dreams.
Do not follow your dreams.
He was very clear on that. He's like, don't be a schmuck.
Yeah.
Make money. So to basically tell 3,000 assembled high school students, they're like, whatever you believe, fucking drop it. Was
your
really
hopes.
And everyone was just sort of like.
And this, again, from a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, his example was like, I actually like basketball more than comedy, but I suck at basketball, and I was okay at comedy, so I did that. And I don't know, fair enough example. But the other thing...
No, the other great thing was that I remember was our good friend Paul Robinson. Shouts out if you're listening, bro. He asked, where do you get your suits? And I believe, I'm paraphrasing here, but I believe it was something along the lines of, if you have to ask, you can't afford them.
Yes. Fuck. Which is a baller move to say to a 14-year-old.
An entire gymnasium filled with people, filled with children, ostensibly.
The other thing he bestowed upon us is, or he's like, always have a fresh haircut and always have it. And if your hair doesn't look good, wear a hat. And he was wearing a hat.
And he's bald.
And he's
historically.
Bald. Yeah, and so it was really weird advice. And he was so running out the clock. And on the way out, he did make like a weird, suggestive forwardness to the math teacher on the way out. I remember that.
I thought it was Miss Hannah
or whatever.
That's a little inside baseball, but
it was there was some horniness that happened.
Yeah, that definitely.
Yeah, and it sucked because we were all expecting like I don't have to do homework because I'm going to be in the Steve Harvey bounce house for 8 hours.
Right, and like to Tom's point, like the reality of that scenario would have just been like a normal day of school.
Yeah, but he says the pledge.
Like how often? Yeah, exactly. Like he breaks in between classes on the thing is like, hey kids, just a reminder. Like he could have pre-recorded fucking clips of him being like, it's your principal Steve Harvey, and like never fucking came, and like
that's it.
That's it. And then he just didn't.
He couldn't even phone it in right.
I really just love the idea that he didn't know because like it seems. Just the way that he is acting in this assembly seems like he's like fundamentally in contempt of your school and
correct,
you.
Because he had to be here. Yes.
Right. He did not want to be there.
Yeah. So that was the real lesson, is that you're going to be a lot of places you don't want to be.
Honestly, I got to say, I've been to a lot of schooling, and I don't think I've ever been taught a lesson that has as much real world value as don't follow your dreams. Because folks, if you know how many fucking hours I spent in audio editing and writing comedy for like a grand total of like $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's right. So thank you, Steve Harvey.
He's right, but he's wrong. And to a certain extent, fuck Steve Harvey. But I respect him. I mean, wasn't that like Tyler the Creator's whole thing for a while? Just fuck Steve Harvey.
Yeah,
I think, and I never put two and two together until now.
Well, he was right on that.
Yeah.
Cog Talk.
All right, it's Cog Talk time. You have an insane commute.
Yes, there are worse commutes, but I do have a pretty bad commute. Yeah.
Give me the numbie.
The numbies, it's on a bad day, it's about an hour.
I thought you were going to say on
a
a boat.
No, on a boat. I have to take 2 boats to a ferry. The ferry is usually out of service on Tuesdays, but I figure it out. Okay. No, it's I take the bus to the train. It's about an hour and a half on a bad day and sort of unreliable. And then the commute home is like 2 hours easy.
So I had,
Yeah, buddy.
at a previous job, a bad commute where I drove because there was no public transportation to that part of the city. And it was typically an hour if I was lucky, and then hour question mark on not days. Or if there was a Cubs game, forget about it. And the way it destroyed my mental health and ground me down to a nub that was incapable of enjoying anything when I got home was really a damning indictment of what it means to be alive in this world. So my question to you is, how are you not a shambling husk man?
I've often asked myself that same question, Joe, and I don't have an answer. I try to make the most of it, on the commute there, my head is down, my hood is over my eyes, like nobody ever sits next to me because I look like I might stab someone at any moment, like something can provoke me.
It's actually a genius move.
Yeah. No, well, see, when I was living in the city, like that was one of my things was like anytime I'm like out and about after dark or something like that, I purposefully like look really scary,
Okay.
and it worked. I lived in a few areas that people would be like, oh, why would you live there? But I would just like put on an old ripped coat, kind of walk with a little limp, and nobody looks at you.
With like a chain dangling for no reason.
This guy that had a giant pit bull dog one time when I was walking down the street, crossed the street.
Hell yeah!
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like,
I would never hurt you.
but
Success.
But yeah, so that's the way there. And then on the ride home, generally, like I'm up. I've been having my conversations with my friends throughout the day, and I'll work. I'll write. I'll watch something on Netflix. I'm a big kind of like excuser of media intake by saying that it's my inspiration or that I'm learning. But like technically you are. The only reason I know how to do any of this stuff, like making movies and stuff, is because of I just watch them all the time. Like I know what it is. I know what's supposed to happen here. I know what that's supposed to look like generally.
Also, if you're on a bus, no one can be like, oh,
Right.
You're not using your time. Well, how dare you Netflix right now? Like, that's a reasonable thing to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The only bad thing is, of course, when you're reading manga and you turn the page to like a big titty reveal, and it's like,
Dude, this actually just happened to me for the first time. I found this, I guess, is there a word for like an American manga?
comics.
But it's like manga style. But
It's
it's
still just comics.
is it? Wow. Okay.
It's just a stylized comic.
Buddy, you're blowing my mind here. But I found this this webtoon called Let's Play by a woman named Mangi. I found it on accident, and I like saw the premise. The premise is this young girl, Sam Young, is creating this video game. She puts it out, and people are digging it. Like she puts it on this website where you can rate games and stuff, and people are digging it. And then this Let's Player that she follows and like loves completely plays her game, plays it wrong, and gives it a horrible review, and her score breaks the score thing. So right there, I'm like hooked. Like, what is this premise? And then he moves in next door, of course, like a typical kind of sitcom-y premise. But I fell in love with this thing. Like it was not for me, but it is for me. And like the premise, the story arcs, I highly recommend it to both of you. It's like it kind of transcends what you would think it would be. Just writing and plotting alone. And the art gets better as it goes, of course. But I'm reading it, and I was like, I was like so thick in it, and I was on the bus, and I'm just scrolling through, and she gets to a point where Sam is taking her dog Bowser out for a walk, and the Let's Player is running and jogging, and it's just ab fest. It's just sweaty, beautiful dudes and like close-ups, and then it's like her being like, ooh, and like and it's just like for pages, I'm like, this fucking guy sitting next to me, just like what does he think? And like, it's
He
like
thinks
not
you're
for me.
a cool guy who likes to party.
Well, no, it's actually really funny, and what I really appreciate about Mangi's writing is she like calls it out almost instantly. She's like, oh, why does he have to have his shirt off? It's like, oh, it's probably she's just trying to like get more women readers in her fan base or something like that. She's very self-referential about everything she's doing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, like how could you read some of that shit in public? Like it freaks me out.
Yeah.
I do not know.
I have the same feelings about manga and gaming, which is that it's something that should be done under a tarp. And with great shame.
So he was drinking.
Sorry,
he had liquids in his
yeah,
mouth.
but everyone should own a manga tarp. And like, you can use your gaming tarp as your manga tarp, but like,
it's better to have
it's
two
frowned
different
upon.
tarps.
yeah, but if you
It's
have
frowned
the
upon.
means, you should have two tarps.
So what I'm hearing, we've gotten out track, but basically you have a fucking 4-hour commute, but because you're not driving the vehicle.
Yes, this is what keeps me sane. It really is. That's how I power through. I use it, like I use this time instead of like letting it abuse me in my psyche. Is really what it is. And it's hard, and I'm telling you, man, it took a really long time. Like it's a discipline kind of thing.
I had the opposite thing where I was at the start, I was okay, and then as time went on, I did not get better at it. It wore me down. So the fact that you have like embraced it on the back end as opposed to is mind blowing to me.
So, well, Joe, you now have a public transit commute where you do not have to pilot a vehicle.
I fucking match gems nonstop. Like every day I pick a different fucking
Stupid
bullshit
gem game?
Yeah, I'm like match.
Did you talk about that in the college episode?
Yeah, gems are like
We love
The
gems.
ad comes up and you just click. I've done that a couple times. I was oh shit.
And like when you match a bunch of gems and like they all go away, and then the best part is everything that is an empty space from a completed gem is filled with a new gem.
Oh boy.
So that's what I do. I told myself I was going to start reading again, but
That's a lie.
It's a lie.
Why?
No, because I have a bad brain that's like I should read, and then I'm like, oh, but wait, my phone.
But think about like how could you trick yourself? Because
The
that
book
was
would have to be about gems. like it would. Is there a Stephen King book where there's a clown that lines up gems?
no.
So just not to get us off of gems, but James,
Yes.
I see here that you apparently have in your cog life. Mm-hmm. You're not just some normal cog who spins around. You are the big hog cog. You actually are in charge of other smaller cogs.
But fundamentally, you're not a boss.
Yeah, how is
So-
what's the distinction? What do you mean by this?
It's all about the ethos. Like it's how I view it. I don't know how much I would like to get into on this publicly available podcast.
For sure, no identifying details.
Yeah. But let's just say I'm not your daddy's boss. I'm very open. I'm very communicative. I'm afforded an opportunity where my staff is kind of segregated from everything else. Like we have our own space, our own little office. So when we're in our vestibule, whatever you'd call it, it's kind of open game. Like we can talk, we can complain. But buddy, like we thought the commute was bad. We thought that would be psychologically draining. But the most psychologically draining part of it is the fact that I did all of their jobs, right? And that's how I became the manager.
Yes, you've been there.
Exactly, like literally have been there. So that's twofold. Anytime that they lie to me about something, I know because I invented that lie. I know what it takes to get stuff done over here, and you just are not doing it. But it's just psychologically tolling because I know what they get paid. I know what the responsibilities that were outlined to them when they were getting the job, and then what the real job is, which is you have to do everything that we said you were going to do, but then a bunch of other stuff is going to come up and you have to do all that too. And we're not going to pay you anymore. And it's just rough. It's psychologically draining because
you aren't the cog who decided that that's how they're going to be treated.
Exactly.
But you're still the cog that has to make them get treated that way.
Correct.
I think the difference between a boss and just a big hog cog is someone who has the boss impulse. I think the clearest distillation of it is if someone who is a boss sees a lower cog on their phone and they just instantly like rankle and are like, even if they know like that person has a lull, there's nothing they need to do right now, but they're on their phone and like that looks bad. Because I have heard people, thankfully I have not been managed by these people, but at workplaces I've been at, there have been managers who are like, guys, you're going to need to use your phones less because it just looks bad. I know you're doing your work. It just looks bad.
I deal with that a lot. Because, you start being a little free with them and, they push the boundaries all the time. But, again, we're lucky. We're off in our space. You can look at your phones. It's not going to look bad or whatever. But that, to me, those kinds of things... And I don't know, like, why? See, but like, why is it the way I see it a boss attitude? I just like I hate society in the way that everyone chose to go about all of this stuff. Because like I said, I can't give you more money to do all these things, but I can make these concessions with you on a human level of like, I know you don't have stuff to do, so be on your phone.
Right.
And if anyone comes, I'm right here. And it's like, yeah, those are my guys, and they're on their phone.
They're posting.
Exactly,
they're human beings.
Posting. They're gaming. Mario Kart just came out for the phone, you guys.
That's hard when you are in charge of people, but you have no control of budget or advocating. For
man, like that's
it's crushing.
I mean, I don't want to say that you're a capo, but it must feel like you're a capo.
I'm straight up a volunteer cop. And here's the kicker of it all is, and I will say this, I have no fucking shame, you guys. I have nothing to worry about. Tom. Oh, by the way, folks, I don't know if you've ever seen Tom Harrison. What a handsome dude. Like, what a handsome guy.
Oh, thanks.
But I lost it. It's gone. Oh, yeah, no, I have no shame. I have no shame. So I will share this with you. I only make $2 more than my employees.
Per hour, let's be clear.
Per hour. No, this is cumulative. This is gross. I only make
at the end of the year, they give you a packet of Starbursts.
And so it's like, if anyone understands them, if anyone understands their struggle, it's me. But I often think to myself, it's like, wait a second, like what would I get? What should I get paid? And is this hubris or am I being selfish?
That's fucking indoctrination talking.
Yeah, no, I know, man. I know. I'm questioning. It's like I'm questioning me questioning.
Never been horny. Never been horny. Don't tell the paper that I ever got horny.
Before we started recording, and this started actually in a conversation we had over lunch about how creating stuff is cool. It's fun, but there is sort of the baggage of trying to get people to see it that makes you feel like a hideous kobold man, like you are just a shambling, gross guy when you...
You want my potions?
Yeah.
You want my potions?
Somewheres, give me the coins.
And why does trying to promote your stuff, even when you have faith in it and you believe it's good, why does that feel so shitty? Because you also have this problem.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a little bit twofold. Like, the landscape. We're at peak TV. Mm-hmm. That every single other day there's going to be a new Netflix show that's fucking awesome that you could never make, that you could never afford to make.
Time is the most valuable coin of all. The only thing we can't get more of.
It's true. It's so true, man. I love this guy. I love this podcast, you guys. I can't get over it.
Thank you.
But it's being acutely aware of the fact that you're just this tiny voice, dude. It's like just in a sea of fucking anything. So it's like, how dare you? Because it goes both ways. I don't know if you guys feel this too with making content where it's like, you hear about your friend's stuff and you're like, I gotta watch the new Paul Rudd show on Netflix. It's like, I don't know if I have time for this because we work full-time jobs and we do all this stuff.
Yeah, because I know that there are good friends of mine, like personal friends, like some of the people that are closest to me in the whole fucking world, who I know don't listen to my shows, and when I first knew that, I'm like, do I get mad at that? And I'm like, wait, fucking no.
No, man.
No, like, I wouldn't, like, there's only so many hours in the day, and most of them are taken up with cog shit. And like the idea that like this thing that I made is what you're gonna invest your time into is so arrogant,
right?
Especially with as we've been saying, there's just more shit every day,
right?
The converse of that,
right,
is that there are people who have no shame and will shamelessly run up to you and tell you to look at their stuff.
That's their full-time job, and they make a lot of money, and they're the famous ones.
And being shameless and not having that impulse where you're like, oh, fuck, should I be doing this? If you don't have that, you just unlock God mode. Like, you can't.
You got the superpower.
There are so many people in college I know that were just shamelessly good at self-promoting. And I say good in the sense that I don't think they were good at it. They just clearly didn't feel shame.
They did it the hardest.
They did it the hardest.
Well, it also really helps when you're like visually pleasing to people, which is like super unfortunate. Like the way that it works, like these hot people just being hot, and like their content could be good, but it's like they have 500 million viewers just because they're hot.
Yeah.
And then they like parlay that, and it's like, well, what? Like, wait a second. This is like, do they care about what they're doing, or are they just selling shit? I don't know.
Shamelessness, I think, is just a different flavor of what we've been slowly identifying more and more in Anime Sickos, which is just that, like, if you reflect on anything ever, you just ruined your life.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's super true.
Like way back when I was a little baby and I was doing my beginnings of my comedy writing thing, one of the first things that I was really proud of is I wrote an Onion style headline that was "Unexamined Life Awesome." That still is one of the most just like just a beautiful little 3-word joke.
That's beautiful.
But like, people ask me like, "Oh, Tom, what's your goal with these creative things? You do so much little podcasts. Like, what's the goal? Like, what are you building towards?" And it's like, well, I'd like for it to be my full-time job, but when I stop to reflect, I realize that that's an unrealistic goal. It only happens to like select few, like 1 out of 10,000 people. It's just not realistic to think that's going to happen for me. And because I said that out loud and put that energy in the universe, it's guaranteed to be true. If I was just like...
That's a thing, man. Like, that's a huge fucking thing that I hate is real.
Yeah, if you were like...
Those people that are out there that are like, it's all about the energy that you put out there. It's so fucking true.
Right.
It's awful.
If someone's like, what's your plan with your podcast? You're like, well, I'm going to get 1 million listeners, and I'm going to build a rocket and fuck the moon. And then guess what? That guy's fucking the moon.
I love that
next year.
I love that like fighting or fucking the moon has become a meme now. Like everyone's just making jokes about fighting the moon.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Jenny Slate's new special?
No, does she fight the moon?
I'm not going to spoil it for you, but she closes with one of the best moon jokes I've ever heard. Highly recommend it.
She's great.
She's so wonderful. I had a second point to bring up about that.
Shamelessness?
Yeah, no, not shamelessness.
The energy thing.
The energy thing. Oh my God. I don't even want to go off on this. I just want to verify once and for all that I think it's like 100% true that the energy you put out is like what is real.
It's like, that's hippie stuff that sounds bad, but also I look at people who say that shit and they got good vibes.
They got good vibes.
I mean, I don't think it's like, I think it's a correlation versus causation thing. I don't think it's like I put out a certain vibe and then like the earth crystal resonates at that frequency and like so be it.
Oh, that's what
right.
I
You're
think.
But it's just like if you truly believe in a thing and will not for a second allow doubt to enter your mind and will do whatever it takes because doubt and shame just don't happen to you, the chances that what you want is gonna happen is a lot higher than my dumbass who couches everything in like reality and like, well, I don't want to come across as arrogant and pushy, so I'm gonna temper my efforts. And it's like, well, that's stupid.
Right? Yeah. Never temper the efforts. You always have to do it 100%. Like you always, if you're gonna do something, fucking do it, man. And that's why I love this shit is because us like. on the surface, it could have been a really dumb podcast, but you guys like care about
Well,
it.
it still also is.
Well, yeah, no, it's super fucking.
That's by design.
Well, it's super fucking dumb, but it's for geniuses, Tom. Like it's it's a fucking podcast for geniuses.
Okay, yeah.
But
Yeah.
you bring up a super valid thing that I think is worthy of our discussion. Is you said the phrase "whatever it takes." Like, at what point do we just have to like sacrifice our humanity, if even for a moment, and how much of that is okay? Because like listen, I'll be frank. I really, really would like to be successful in making stuff.
Yeah.
Like I just want to make stuff just like you guys. Like for sure. And I've realized that you literally just have to compromise your humanity to do that. So I'm trying to figure out
How much you need to go.
Like how much of the blood can I let before I start saying that George W. Bush Jr. is my fucking friend. You know, like is there a middle ground, you guys think?
Yeah, we need to know. I need to know the number of leeches.
Yes.
Okay. I think so. There are people out there who are creators who do it full time, who have a big following and a lot of money, and feel and seem like normal fucking humans. They don't come across as the lizard folk. And the honestly, the one thing that connects all of them, the common denominator in all of these people, is that they were the fucking first to market.
Right.
They were the first person to do this kind of podcast, or
Right.
they were the first person to do an actual play and have a network for it. They were the first people to do this. And it's like, oh, oopsie. Like, I made the mistake of not being in 2010.
Right. Right.
Yes.
You see it like that sparks in my mind. Like you see all these people come out with their first features or whatever that are fucking like I just watched The Witch.
Oh, so good.
It was hyped too much for me.
Oh, I loved it.
I loved it. I did really enjoy it, but also I saw Midsummer before I saw The Witch, and I was kind of like, that had like the same exact like arc. Like those A24 movies are all very kind of like in the same wheelhouse, which I love. I love those A24 movies so much. They are like made for me. But so that was dude's first picture, right?
Yeah.
But what was the budget? You know what I'm saying? Like how did he get all?
Yeah,
he has
yeah,
all of
yeah.
this money, and everyone like there's this mystique to like this fantastic first film, like It Follows and stuff like that, like these indie pictures. And it's like, no, I mean, that still costs like $3 million to make.
Yeah. Like, whenever people say like $3 million is low budget, I'm just like, then give it to me.
Then yeah, if you can just give that to any, like all these untested people, and it's like, who are these people? How much of their own money did they have to like put on as collateral? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to posit this theory to y'all. What if we just haven't hit our 10,000 hours?
No, fuck you.
What if that's what it is?
No.
Like
No, I've
Robert Eggers, he hit his 10,000 hours. He's got a script about a witch.
I've hit my 10,000 hours of everything. Everything.
Yeah. If that were true, Joe would have like an actual gem would have come out of this play.
Yeah, absolutely.
We know he loves gems.
I would, yeah. I also want to bring up a phenomenon that you and I have talked about in our personal conversations, which is, let's say you make something, you lovingly create something from scratch, you put all this thought into it, and people like it just fine, but then it doesn't get the reception you wanted. And then a day later, you shit out something horrible that you don't give a crap about. You just do this sort of like, whatever, some off the hand thing. And people fucking eat it up.
Joe, do you want to know what my most engaged with scene piece of thing that I've ever made was?
I'm hooting. I'm rutting like a hog.
He is. He's literally vibrating, folks. I posted on Tumblr a meme. I hit the perfect place, perfect time. It was a Valentine's card. It was Tommy Pickles with the sunglasses on. And it said like to from, it was blank. And then the text on it just said, let's get naked. And
I hate this.
it has been interacted with, reblogged. No, yeah, I shouldn't even say interacted with, but it has been reblogged over 30,000 times. A shitty Rick and Morty GIF that I made that I filmed on my phone because it was like Morty twerking. I made a GIF of that. It has about 16,000 shares or some shit.
Jesus Christ.
And it's insane. But like, and then the death spiral sets in of like, well, 30,000 people saw this. So like, just by like, fair estimation, probably 8,000 people looked at my page.
Oh, that's
none of them were like, I'm sticking around this guy.
No, that's where you're wrong. That's way too much. 30,000 people looked at something. What is 1% of that? 300?
Yeah, no, you're probably right.
30 people looked at that. 0.1% is more likely.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. I needed to hear that.
I will never forget this sensation. So in college, I had Facebook, so you post stuff on Facebook, and like you can't really go viral on Facebook, but you can like basically have a thing where like literally everyone in your network responds to something.
Yeah.
And one day there was a Bears game on, and the Bears slogan, "Bear down, Chicago Bears."
Yeah.
I wrote, "Bore down, Chicago Boars," and literally,
objectively, very funny.
But people were calling me.
Like phone?
Yes. They were like, "I saw your post." I'm like, I literally hate myself right now. I just thought it would be funny if you thought they were pigs.
And, oh my God. And then, like, when we finally debut Shuffle Quest, a very ambitious, high production value piece
Super
of
high
work
concept
that we put a lot of hours into, both recording and, prototyping and editing, and it's finally ready to go. And it's like, guys, look at this project that I've done so much. I'm like, and I made sure that, all of us, Codex, Gwyn, Joe, myself, we all posted. We all were doing the promotion blitz. And I think grand total, we got 10 engagements.
We should have.
On your first episode?
Well, no, on the posts. The downloads were okay. But,
good.
But it's insane. Sat down on my doo-doo ass is guaranteed to get more than this.
That gets me every time, dude. That gets me every time you say it. Well, I've been noticing this recently, is that even some of the more popular people that I follow on Twitter, you go to their page and they don't even get that many retweets or likes. Like if you look at them, they're pulling 60 retweets. And then they'll have a post, but they'll have a post here and there where it's 60,000 times or whatever the hell.
Then they do the doo-doo ass.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're like, oh, doo-doo ass.
And then they get on fucking Ellen.
Looky my poo-poo-poo-poo bye.
Yeah. Just to talk about what's happening right now is,
yeah, get into it, man.
So we recently did a thing where Joe has found this app that lets him make these little video clips of the podcast that you can share, which is great. Because
I saw that when you posted.
Yeah. So we did that, and we're hoping that this will be good. This will get people into the show, and it's been fine. But we wanted it to blow us away. Meanwhile, I've been just getting notifications constantly because I saw a post that was a picture of someone putting their phone in their right pocket, and it said, "Left Pocket Gang, get out of here. Fuck you. This post made by Right Pocket Gang." And then someone responded to that. What do you think about people who put their phone in their back pocket? And then I responded to that. So let's be clear. This is the third reply in a thread.
Okay.
I responded, "This MFer sit on he phone." And it's just been vomiting likes on me for days.
Oh, yeah. That's all I get on Twitter is the dumbest shit that I reply to on something blows the fuck up. But my on-brand quote-unquote tweets are just no one fucking cares.
It would be so much better if you never got that positive feedback on this motherfucker sit on he phone.
I hate it.
This also begs the question, which gang are you doing?
I'm in Left Pocket Gang.
I'm with him.
This MFer sit on he phone.
We're the anime sickos, and we're here to say anime is bad in a war crimes way.
So, James,
yes,
we said early in the podcast's life that the weirdness and just absolute strange bullshit in anime and manga has no Western equivalent. And we're geniuses. We're right. But you posit that we're wrong?
I don't know if wrong is the right word. I just don't know if you've considered all of the options.
What's an option that we might want to consider? Let's say right now.
I have argued that YouTube is the Western equivalent of the anime conglomerate.
So, can I start by explaining how I use YouTube and how it's very wrong? Because it's clear like not how people use it. That's not how, certainly not how the younger generation interacts with it.
Yeah.
What I do is I will search guy polishes old knife.
Sure.
And then I'll just watch it, maybe a 45-minute video of a guy restoring like an old knife.
45 minutes.
They're long, dude. And it's just like very soothing to watch this guy take what is basically a hunk of metal he found like buried in a farm and then restore it to a pristine thing. And then I close the window and then I'm all done.
That's been basically how you use it.
But I've never subscribed to anything. And the thing I don't like about it is if you look at two gaming things on YouTube, you immediately get like Ben Shapiro autoplays about like I don't know,
White genocide.
and like this is how you own SJWs and just like awful shit. And so every time I interact,
Why does he want to own people? You heard it here first, folks. Ben Shapiro wants to own people.
It is not a shock that conservatives want slavery back.
but
I'm gonna be clear. I only have a vague understanding of who the fuck Ben Shapiro is.
but it doesn't.
Good, keep it.
It doesn't like it
Thank
doesn't
you.
even matter that you need to know him or not. The fact is that he will show up in the algorithm no
Yeah,
matter what. And
right.
so my take is, how do I make YouTube not do that? And like, where do I get the good stuff?
Well, let's leave that for later in the segment because we still have to grapple with this core
Yes.
concept that
Yes.
YouTube is anime.
Yeah.
Which
I think there's three elements to it. It's like the dismissal of human rights or like a humanitarian
Okay.
like once you put your video on YouTube, you're not a person anymore. Like
true.
once you sign up
Fuck.
to make anime, you're not a person anymore.
They
You
chain
just
your
make
desk.
anime. They
Yeah.
change,
Chain
as
your
we've
desk.
discussed.
Yeah.
Let's say allegedly. We don't know. Have you ever seen these desk chains?
I think they're metaphorical.
They're probably real. No, they're probably real.
Yeah.
They're probably real fucking real, Tom.
I was doing air quotes when I said metaphorical.
It's a podcast, Tom.
Yeah, well,
I caught myself doing that like 40 times.
I also wasn't actually doing it. I retconned it.
Yeah. Okay. So I
But-
buy that. So it dehumanizes you.
Yeah.
The sheer volume of content that's within the YouTube brand, like essentially just swap YouTube for anime and apply
both-
everything that you would say about anime and just stick
Yeah.
it to YouTube. And they're more often than not, I found when I was running my mental calculations, there's just a correlation.
So like, okay, let me see. I think I'm getting the switch turning on.
Okay.
So like anime has a wide and enormous catalog of media that all sort of it's diverse and wide, but it all has a sort of like stank on it
Right.
of anime, and it's like
Right.
different than anything else. And like, although you may be watching very very disparate shows with very different themes and tones, to the outsider, it's like, oh, that's some anime shit. I don't know about
Exactly.
that.
And
that's
to
the same
this
with
point,
YouTube.
To this point, we made a web series called Buddies. First season available now. There's watchbuddies.com if you want. We put it, just by putting it on YouTube and having YouTube be our platform, we're labeled a YouTube show.
Mm-hmm.
We're like labeled this anime.
They branded you.
We've been branded by using a service.
You happened to make a cartoon in Japan,
Exactly.
but now it's anime.
Yeah, now it's not an animated film; it's just anime. Yeah. So
Fuck.
Okay. That was 1 and 2. I'm sold on. Like this is good stuff. Give me what was 3?
I don't know. Did I say 3?
You
said
did. You
3.
can't fucking do this to me.
Well, what do you think 3 is, Joe?
Ooh. Man.
All right, too long.
okay,
Tom, what do
number-
you think 3 is?
Just like anime, there is a sort of weird and unhealthy focus on teens.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
okay, yeah,
This
yeah.
TikTok shit, this is almost tangential, but not really, because like TikTok, like all of those things where you're just like sharing videos and going viral or whatever are kind of just the Western equivalent of anime to me. Like, but yeah, man, weird focus on teens. And there's like, if you look at the most successful YouTube videos and stuff, and then you look at like the most successful animes and you have it side by side, is like you'll start seeing that there's just like these things that are almost in all of them. Like the most successful YouTube videos have music, hot ladies, like fucking like a very simple adventure. And that's the other thing about all of this is like simplicity wins. Simplicity
Yeah.
always wins. You guys love anime I'm gonna say it.
How dare you fucking say that I like it?
Because
I love it.
Because it's simple. Because you know what it is.
Oh, fuck yes.
Like
oh
you
my
know
God.
what's going to happen.
I
You get
want
into
the
it.
slop.
Exactly.
Give me the slop.
I heard it live.
No, I get you because like the big channels like your Logan Pauls and your Shane Dawsons, it's all just like they're like, whoa, epic, and they sort of walk around their house and like, can you believe this?
Right.
Whoa, and then like
They have the beats.
yeah, and it's the same every time.
No.
And the teens go gaga.
That was actually 3. Now that I remember, that
shit.
was going to be my
Well, that
point.
shows that it's true because we both came to that conclusion.
Tom, simpatico. But yeah, so I mean, are you guys sold?
I think I'm sold.
I'm more open to it, but maybe we can go back to my selfish question that I
Now's the
posed
time.
Yes.
at the risk of derailing everything because I made it about me because I'm a
I like
man.
you, Joe. Let's. Oh boy.
I'm So how do you use it in a way that doesn't just shoot white supremacist propaganda into your brain?
So here's the thing, Joe. Here, I'm gonna break it down for you real quick.
Okay.
YouTube uses an algorithm.
Yeah.
Any video that you don't want to see, you have to tell it that you don't want to see it. You have to input to YouTube. You have to put your thumb down.
I don't want to touch it. That's scary.
You got to do it every single time.
Not every single time, man. Because like if you're worried about seeing Ben Shapiro, go to
always
go to Ben. Do the right thing. Go to Ben Shapiro's page and downvote everything that he says. The algorithm will then be like, I don't think men like Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. Okay.
So that it's really like, yeah, you have to engage with it. And also, shame on you for not subscribing to things that you like.
You got me there because I know subscription is like the lifeblood.
That's
of
the
YouTube.
lifeblood.
Yeah.
There's a guy I follow on YouTube, Andrew Wong, plays cool, weird synthesizers, makes beats out of like weird stuff. And I love it. So I subscribed, like it's the least I can do because like that's what it is. Like that's what shows YouTube. That's what shows the algorithm. That's what shows everyone around you.
That's what shows advertisers.
Well, that's what shows advertisers. And he makes good money. Like he you know what I'm saying? Like he built it up. And like that circles all the way back almost full circle to the other thing of like you feel bad putting this stuff out there because like no one engages or anything. You're not engaging. Like you're also not engaging. None of us
only
are
taking.
No, exactly. None of us are engaging enough. I don't do it either. I follow like him and like one other guy.
Here's how I use YouTube. And I use YouTube, and I basically only watch it from channels I follow. But here's the content that they make. I follow 90s Commercial Vault, which just compiles 90s commercials and nothing else.
Hell
and
yeah.
just that is an incredible thing to have on in the background because you're just like, look at that. Look at that toy. I love it. Old fucking like mid 2000s reality shows about dogs. Love that shit. Give me more.
What?
Like problem dogs, and then the trainer comes in and trains the
dog whisperer.
Yeah, not that person specifically.
Okay.
I also watch if you have a fucking British or Australian accent and are explaining anime to me. That is my ASMR. If someone with an American voice tries to talk to me about anime, I become furious. However, the trouble with that is that like when you're listening to a new person with a British voice talk to you about anime, you're just like Russian rouletting. Like, is he gonna start talking about far right stuff? Is he gonna start talking about white genocide? Because like, there's always the possibility.
Do like far right people watch anime?
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
We're not going to
Oh,
put this in there, but there is a Fash online and anime online. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a overlap.
That's why we said that if you like anime but you don't also hate anime, like it's a big red flag.
Yeah.
Like you clearly like and hate it, as you spoke of with Fire Force, so you are likely not a fascist. But if you were to say like it's their culture to portray teenagers that way, you'd be like, fuck, no, oh no.
Yeah, so we won't leave that in, but yeah, it's a thing.
I think you should leave it in.
No.
Or some version of it.
I
don't think a lot of people know about this. Unless a lot of people do.
I mean, like, we can get into this in another segment, but like
Sure.
Japan being sort of an ethno state that
Yeah.
restricts immigration is like a big fucking thing for them. And part of what makes that talking point useful is having a popular conception of Japan as being thriving and great. And part of that is like, look at how great and unique their culture is.
Right.
Of course, that overlooks the fucking true fact that the country is struggling intensely, and immigration would almost certainly fix, I don't know about all, but most of their problems.
At least some of it.
Anyway,
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't get it.
Yeah. So where were we?
I was talking about the shit I like on YouTube.
Oh,
Yeah.
you said it was a Russian roulette about
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
far right guy.
Yep.
But other than that, I like that's it. Like, and I've done like the fucking training where every time YouTube is like, "Hey, I saw you watched a video about One Piece. Would you like to learn how to kill all the subhuman races?" And I'm like, no. So I've like trained that out of YouTube, so it doesn't show me any of that shit.
Good.
But like at the same time, like I feel like what I'm seeing is not representative of the whole. Which
There's
like I
that.
feel like that's good actually.
There's that, but there's also the fact that, like, it's sad to say, but, like, you doing that doesn't make the video not exist anymore.
Yeah, it's
God.
just not.
It's just not
going to you.
Yeah, it's just not going to you, but it's still there.
Oh, I also watch cooking videos. That's how I learned how to cook. They're good. They're generally not fascist.
What do you cook? What's your dish?
It's just a lot. I just cook a lot of shit. It's just
Yeah, but,
generally
like, what's your, you know?
He recently made for the cast amazing batch of herb butter Cornish game hens.
Holy
Yeah.
moly.
They were top notch, and you also have done creme brulee as a dessert.
Yeah, creme brulee is my
Whoa.
big thing. I love it.
Yeah, like it's not that like Tom's like good at cooking. We often talk about how if he could do so without ruining his life, he should open a bakery.
Yeah,
But
like
it,
you ruined my life.
it would ruin your life for sure.
Why?
Just
We'll
like,
get into it later.
Yeah,
Just opening a small business is like shooting yourself in the face.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right on that.
Yeah, but
I crunch those numbers.
But yeah, fucking food. That's the good shit. But like
Yeah.
that's different because that's like I'm using that for a specific purpose. Like I want to know how to cook this thing today.
Yeah,
Whereas-
compared to Joe,
yeah.
you're using YouTube correctly.
yeah. The
Like,
other
very correctly.
okay. So the other thing I'll do is I'll rewatch Wayne Days.
Wayne Days. I love David Wayne. I love it. He was a huge influence back when we would do sketch comedy.
Yeah. So James and I, we did sketch. It's a horrible thing to say. Like I said those words, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
Here-
people tell me we should do it again, and
I'm fucking 31.
we did that. We killed it.
It was fun, but the problem with sketch is if you are writing it, you become acutely aware that every sketch is like, this sketch, there is one guy acting weird. This sketch, everyone's acting weird. This sketch, we haven't figured out, but everybody's yelling.
That's the one. That's when you know if you're ever at a sketch show, if everyone's voice just gets way louder, they don't know what the fuck that sketch should be.
Whitest Kids You Know is not a well-written sketch show. That said,
It has its moments.
okay, let me restart.
But you're right.
No, let me start actually. Whitest Kids You Know is probably not a very consistent sketch show, but they are the perfect example of they've discovered just yell. Just fucking yell.
Like I remember when I Think You Should Leave came out, and the entire
man.
Shuffle Quest crew
Oh,
was
man.
flipping out over it, and I texted Joe. I'm like, these sketches are really good, but I don't like how many of them are just the joke is that Tim Robinson starts yelling.
And I was like, welcome to fucking sketch.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. That's a huge part of sketch is just being loud.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. And we're not
Especially
saying
live sketch.
we're not saying that like that's the secret sauce and people love it. The problem is people unfortunately do like it. But it's definitely an issue with the fucking format. Is
Absolutely.
you only have 3 minutes to like set up a context, so it's very easy just to be like, this guy is just weird.
Well, I'll say, like, I Think You Should Leave. It blew my mind away.
It made me give a shit about sketch again.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go so far as to say it reinvigorated my like love of sketch, but I gave it a pass. Like I was like this is everything that I would want a sketch show to be. It's like 15 minutes long, like just long enough to not overstay its welcome, just enough sketches, And yeah, it was a lot of yelling, but let me tell you what, that sketch where he's wearing the hot dog suit it's mostly just him yelling, but damn, dude, he's yelling some funny fucking shit. And it's just well structured. What a visual gag.
Yeah, the reason I respect, I think you should leave so much is because there's not one sketch where a guy starts losing a crowd and starts talking about, like, we're just so on our phones, man. But it happens like 2.5 times. And just, that's like my favorite dumb guy thing to talk about. Being like, we just spend so much time on our phones.
Yeah. And I remember one time I asked my old man, I was like, what did people do before phones? Like, I'm just on the bus, I'm on the train all the time. Everyone's got their heads in the phones. And just without even fucking skipping a beat, he was just like, they read the newspaper. I was like, was there ever a time that you remember when like people were like talking to everybody and like nobody ever was like people say like, oh, everyone's chewing their phones. Well, yeah, they were just in other shit like when there weren't phones.
There was Game Boys.
Yeah, there were Game Boys. There was just like masturbating in public, you know.
Yeah. And with that, James Medley, thank you so much for joining us today on Anime Sickos. If someone wants to find all that stuff that you mentioned that you do, how could you find it?
Well, first I want to say thank you so much for having me on. Like it really does mean a lot. I love this show.
You were freaking fantastic. We'd love to have you.
Hush up. It's been a dream of mine to go Guesto mode. But you can go to my name, jamesmedley.com. You can go to watchbuddies.com. And on all social media, I'm at Hey Medley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fucking thank you for listening, listeners. I'm Tom, the Anime Sicko.
I am Joe Anderson, also an Anime Sicko.
Until next time, we'll see you. Bye.
See you.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at Sharia Uncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.